Welcome to the deep dive. So you've sent us this huge stack of sources on what looks like one of the most rigorous methodologies out there for digital transformation.
Yeah.
Okay, let's just jump right in and unpack this. The core idea we're starting with, it's not exactly a gentle one. The source material assumes that adaptation isn't just a good idea anymore. It's mandatory. We're in a world where, things like AI and social media, they're not just nice to haves.
Yeah.
They're the cost of entry. If you're running any kind of organization, you simply must adopt them.
Exactly. And the big challenge with that, the inherent problem, is risk. I mean, how do you transform your entire company without, creating chaos or just burning through capital? So our mission today is to give you the blueprint. It's based on this PPSS methodology, and it's designed specifically to cut that risk and maximize your growth.
PPSS, okay, so that's strategy, structure, systems, and people. It sounds almost like a foundational governance model. Before we get into the nitty-gritty, how do those four things actually work together?
They force alignment. That's the key. Think of them like gears that have to mesh perfectly. Your strategy, that's your destination. Structure is how you organize the company to get there. The departments, who reports to whom. Then systems are the tech and the processes that let that structure actually function. And then crucially, there's people. The talent, the skills, the culture, all of it has to be aligned to use those systems within that structure. If you change your strategy, the whole model demands you immediately rethink everything else.
So it prevents siloed thinking.
Absolutely.
That makes sense. It's about forcing that internal coherence. But the sources also say this whole PPSS framework has to align 5 key digital business building blocks. That just sounds like a mountain of paperwork waiting to happen.
It would be if they weren't interlocked. And they absolutely must be. So the 5 blocks are the business plan, the digital business building blocks, the operating model, the AI roadmap, and of course, the social media marketing strategy. The whole point is you can't plan one without thinking about all the others. They aren't 5 different projects. They're 5 facets of one single transformation.
That's a lot to juggle. I mean, if it's that complex, requiring 5 completely interlocked plans, how do you manage that journey without getting totally overwhelmed from day one?
That's where the mechanism of the methodology is kind of the secret weapon. The whole journey is planned out using these things called PPSS templates. And each template is broken down into these incredibly detailed work items. It's a structure that makes sure every little thing, from data migration to change management, gets addressed.
Okay, so you're breaking the giant task down into bite-sized pieces. But what about flexibility? I mean, not every company is starting from scratch. Some might have a great social media game, but their IT's a mess.
And that's what's so fascinating here. The methodology is built for that. While the framework guarantees that everything aligns in the end, the individual work items inside the templates, they're designed to be interchangeable.
Interchangeable. How so?
Yes. It's this crucial bit of flexibility. It lets you, as the organization, pick your starting point based on where you are right now. Maybe you start with the operating model work items, or maybe you jump straight into the AI roadmap. The framework just makes sure that no matter where you begin, you eventually cover all the required bases, and that final strategic alignment is always preserved.
That flexibility really is key. So if you already have, say, a solid operating model, you could fast-track directly to the AI work.
Exactly right. But no matter where you start, you have to get those foundational documents right. Let's start with the business plan, because the source material really goes deep on what needs to be in there.
Okay, let's decode that business plan first. This is where you lay out the why and the what of the whole thing, the strategic core.
Absolutely. You need the vision, the value proposition, the mission all locked down, crystal clear. You also need a full transformation roadmap and, of course, a good old SWOT analysis. That's the standard stuff, but it sets the stage.
And it's not just about looking inward, right? The plan has to face the outside world.
Correct. You have to clearly define market trends, demographics, and lay out a very clear competition strategy. And then for execution, you define the business model, the sales and marketing strategy, and you identify the talent and the supporting tech you're going to need.
The sources are pretty insistent. This isn't just theory, though. It demands hard numbers.
This is exactly where the rubber meets the road. The plan must include specific, detailed numbers. We're talking projected revenue, costs, and the expected ROI. If the numbers aren't there, it's not a business plan. It's just a wish list. And in a big transformation, coming up with a realistic ROI for, say, new AI infrastructure, that's the hardest part. But the methodology says you have to quantify it.
That's a tough ask, demanding that kind of precision where there's so much risk. Okay, so we have the vision, the goals, the what, and the why. Now, the operating model has to define the how. How do the sources define this OM, and what does it really mean to componentize it?
Think of the operating model as the detailed engineering blueprint for the future organization. And the first step is to construct a componentized operating model.
I hear componentized structure, and I immediately think bureaucracy. How does this stop it from just adding layers and slowing things down?
The intent is actually the exact opposite. Don't think of it as turning departments into silos. Think of it more like turning functions into microservices. By componentizing, you isolate specific units like IT services or logistics. This lets you assess their cost and efficiency independently. And that isolation is just critical for mapping your resources properly.
Right, and that lets you clearly allocate resources, which is where these transformations get so expensive.
For sure, resource allocation is a huge focus, especially human resources and tech resources. You have to document every single resource cost for every component. But it's not just about costs, it's strategic. You have to map your supporting components, the back office stuff, and map your strategic components, the things that directly create value for your customer.
So once you've componentized everything,
Mm.
what does that actually tell you about the bottom line?
This is the critical output. The detailed structure forces you to identify opportunities for revenue increase and cost reduction. And finally, that OM structure becomes the foundation for the business case for the whole transformation. It's the proof that the effort is financially sound.
Okay, that sets the stage. So if the OM is the new skeleton, we now have to add the muscle, starting with the biggest disruptor, AI. The sources are clear. AI adoption is mandatory. So what are the key parts of the AI roadmap?
The AI roadmap is almost treated like a mini business inside the transformation. That tells you how central it is. It needs its own value proposition, and just like the main plan, it must identify opportunities for revenue and cost savings with its own specific numbers.
And beyond the money, AI is all about the tech stack. What specific technologies does it say you have to assess?
The plan has to address specific tech, like chatbots and robotics. You have to answer the question, which AI are you building your own? Buying from a vendor, using open source. That one decision changes everything. Your costs, the talent you need, how you integrate it.
And integration is everything. You can't have AI just sitting off in a corner by itself.
Exactly. The roadmap has to plan for system process automation, for incorporating external data sources, which is vital for training the AI and for identifying all the human-AI interaction points. And that last part isn't just about a user interface, it's about the new division of labor, which means you need a change management program.
Okay, hang on. Here's where I saw something really interesting. In the AI roadmap section, there was something that wasn't strictly AI, but it points to, well, a different kind of disruption.
Ah, you caught the strategic scope creep.
Yes! Within the AI roadmap, there's the change management program, but there's also the required consideration of crypto in DeFi. This really highlights the whole methodology's approach. These aren't separate technologies in silos. Financial disruption from decentralized finance is seen as a strategic threat or opportunity that you have to assess right alongside your core AI rollout.
That is fascinating, blending process automation with decentralized finance. All right, let's shift to the public face of the company, the social media marketing strategy. What makes this a core building block?
It's because it explicitly connects your brand identity, your infrastructure, your content, and your data capture. Starting with branding, you need a campaign calendar, you need to document your company culture, define your website platform, and establish a SaaS value statement.
Let's pause on that one. SaaS value statement. Why is that singled out? It forces you to be incredibly specific. In a digital world, your value is often delivered as a service, and this statement crystallizes the unique benefit you provide. It's the one sentence that should guide every piece of content you create.
Okay, statement defined, but who are we talking to?
You need key customer identification, a precise profile of your digital audience, and then the content have to be integrated. Digital content creation plan right alongside your physical world marketing, a unified message no matter the channel.
And social media is pretty pointless if you're not capturing data and driving action. What data components are required?
The strategy demands a serious data plan. You need specific SEO keywords and phrases and a meta tag library. That library is crucial for search and consistency. You also need a CRM system, and here's the tactical detail that really stood out to me: the explicit requirement to harvest emails contacts from social platforms.
Harvesting emails. That feels like a really specific, almost old-school tactic to embed in such a high-level plan.
It is, and it shows this isn't just about abstract tech concepts, it's about tactical execution and measurable results. Owning your contact list is an explicit requirement of the strategy.
So once all 5 of these interlock plans are done, The organization has to move from planning to action. That's the digital transformation roadmap.
Yeah.
How do you turn all these documents into concrete projects?
It starts with a really detailed self-diagnosis. You do a human and systems mapping with costs, and you create a componentized schematic of the current operations. You have to know exactly what you have now before you can move to the new model. Then you do a process and technology overlay.
That sounds like a complete audit of your current reality. But once you have that map, how do you decide what to do first? You can't change everything at once.
This is where the prioritization gets ruthless. You take your current resource allocation and you overlay it on the new optimized operating model. That mapping immediately helps you identify opportunities for operational improvements. And here's the rule. Every single opportunity must have a documented business case. No pet projects. That process creates your list of prioritized projects, which then becomes the final roadmap for projects.
A clear path from diagnosis to deployment. Okay, so wrapping up this entire deep dive, what are the essential high-level deliverables that the PPSS process guarantees someone walks away with?
You walk away with a full interlocking suite of documents. First, the core strategic plans, a definitive business plan, and a complete operating model.
And then the action plans that come from those.
You get two of them. The development roadmap, which is the how we build, and the opportunity roadmap, which is the how we capitalize. And it's all backed by the hard data you generated. Financials and projections with very clear ROI expectations. And beyond that, you get a detailed business operations model. This specifically maps out your investment funds, talent, tech resources, and critically, the in-house versus outsource mapping for every component. You know exactly what you're building and what you're buying.
That's a real handbook for execution. And we shouldn't forget those forward-looking threats and opportunities from earlier.
Precisely. The final deliverables have to include the identification of strategic threats and opportunities, specifically naming AI, blockchain, and crypto, and finally, a full marketing strategy with KPIs, pricing models, and the integration mapping for all your social media platforms.
What a rigorous process. So, to summarize this whole deep dive, the PPSS framework really provides a powerful guarantee of alignment. It makes sure those 5 critical building blocks, business plan, operating model, AI, social media, don't become separate, conflicting efforts. The structure is designed for thorough, but also swift application of knowledge.
And when you look at the level of detail, especially forcing you to put an ROI on new AI or map how you'll integrate something like crypto, you see why that alignment is everything. One decision about which AI you'll use ripples through your entire operating model, your costs, your marketing, everything. So if we bring this all back to that initial idea that AI, blockchain, and crypto are interconnected necessities, it leaves you with a really important final question to think about. How complex is it to truly integrate a decentralized concept like blockchain, which is all about distributed trust, into a highly structured, centralized operating model that depends on clear governance and componentized oversight? It's a huge strategic tension, and it's something worth exploring on your own.
A fascinating challenge to consider. Thank you for diving deep with us today.
It's always a pleasure.